Okay, I wanted to go around again and visit the terms, the ideas of republic and democracy to show basically what is a republic and which is the closest humanitarian assembly on a land on a large piece of land, if you like, or a small piece of land, and a democracy with the concept of self-ruling, and why a republic is a way to handle the discussion. The Republic Assembly is where the people are assembling to discuss things, and why a democracy is the spirit of their assembling, but it is not a party. It cannot be a different party. There could be one party, if you like, one group of people, equal group of people in a republic who are all Republicans. A democracy is an artificial imposition, uh, administrative imposition on the public to say that everybody is equal, but you don't need an artificial institution to impose equality by creating a different party. You break the equality, and you say one group is better than the other, or one group is smarter than the other. It is a fundamental conflict of conception where you have free people living in an institution uh, forming rules over them, where democracy was firstly meant the self-rule of the people. It did not mean a constitution that is governing them. It did not mean that there is necessarily a head of the republic. A, a republic is a assembly of people for the fact that they live in the same area, if they have the same concerns about, say, water, of wood, food supply, of study, of traveling, whatever they have, uh, a democracy will simply say that all of them are equal and all of them have the potential and the right and obligation, in fact, to convene together in an assembly and discuss it equally. That's what democracy means. But it is not a political party. It cannot be a political party. This is a deceit. No wonder the Democratic Party is financed by the Rothschild, who invented it. It just play with terms and invent something artificial to cover the truth, which they do every time. And it's true in every place that they are. If they, uh, you know, made a big organization for people to like discuss world problems like the United Nations, but the United Nations never solves any problem, because the only way the problem can be solved is in between the groups, in between the groups and between the different groups that having a conflict. If they have a conflict, which usually they don't have a conflict. There's no conflict. People are sharing this earth equally in a democratic fashion, in a natural way. They don't need to form an assembly of nations, which is in itself a nation, is an artificial construct. About what? About reptilians. Wow, that's a long time I haven't talked about reptilians. Let me see. I have 5 minutes. I talked about the difference between a republic and a democracy that are two different concepts. But let's see. Reptilians. Okay, let's try it. I give it 10 minutes or less if I could. Okay, there is a variety of non-human intervention that are very potent in a sense of control. If you heard the African Zulu talks about with David Icke, he was talking Credo Mucho or something, I don't remember his name exactly. He was describing the reptilians in Africa and how the reptilians live under the ground, how they come out of the ground, and how they interfere into human society, what they can do. So if you heard Credo Mutua, you heard him say there's a legend in Africa about a small reptilian girl that came out of the earth, and their children were playing, and she was the reptilian girl, faced one of the girls. She looked at her in the eyes, and she froze her entire being. She hypnotized her to where the other girl dropped unconscious. Then the reptilian took over her body. That means she imitated a body, and then she joined back the children playing as if she was the original girl, only different that she had a tail. She couldn't keep her tail hidden. Her tail was pretty big. So the fact was that she could hypnotize a human to take over her shape, and price her. That tells you very much about how they operate everywhere. Now, one of them that is not exactly the same type, I think, don't remember which country it was in Africa, that it came out of the ground. This is an old legend that I heard once. There was a man that was coming up from this group that was not human. He was ugly and he was big. It was like 3 meters big. And he came up to the surface and he was seducing women to make sex with him. And for this reason, his family, his tribe under the ground, rejected him, and he was not allowed to come back down anymore. So he stayed on the first surface. That was in East Africa. I wish I remembered the country anyway. And he was starting to seduce people, women. He was seducing people. By the time that he seduced 5,000 people, he had a family of 5,000 people, and he lived a long time. The reptilians lived thousands and thousands of years. So it took him a long time to seduce so many women, and he created paths that resembles the legend of Solomon, which say that Solomon was a positive person, but it reminds of this, that he gathered thousands and thousands of women, and then at one point these people in Africa decided to also reject him, and they sent them all to the sea, and they started to travel 5,000 people in boats along the coast of Africa, and they went north, they went down, they landed in Yemen, then they landed in Persia, then they landed in India, then they landed in Indonesia, in that region eventually, and then spread it into Asia. Everywhere they came north to Babylon. They took over Babylon. They took over Jerusalem. They took over Khazaria. They took over Chimera. So you have Jerusalem and Chimera under their control in this way exactly. They take over. They make hybrid. They reproduce and create more of them. So the reptilian, if you want, this group of reptilian or another that is controlling the earth in this fashion, that is psychological takeover. So you can find them now in, then after Chimera, you find them in Amsterdam, how they started the banks, and then the city of London, and then the Jesuits in the Vatican, and then you have city of London, and then you have the United States. So they are in fact controlling the Trump administration or any administration in the Jewish administration. Those natives that are fighting against them, who are aware of it, those who were not inflicted so badly, the natives, they're fighting against them. So it's a fighting, it's a war between DNAs. Only a few seconds, if I may, before it becomes so long, that the human population, in fact, the non-reptilian ones, are far more advanced in other ways. They're not so advanced in controlling other people. They are advanced in education, in spiritual capacity, in emotional capacity, definitely. And we are much more advanced than them. So now we are pushing them out in intelligent ways. We're just showing them the way out, and they must leave. Yeah. So thank you for asking. Mosquito caps, reptilians? Yes, reptilians. Thank you for asking. Bye. I may do another one. You just wait. Maybe I want to start talk about something, or you ask me. I may be able to respond. Ciao. Thank you.